The state of Maine. It's got lighthouses, lobster boats, and a coast with such beauty it can take your breath away. But Maine is also known as the pine tree state, and its forests are prime habitat for two upland birds that tug at the heartstrings of many hunters, the ruffed grouse and the American woodcock. We've come to Maine to meet Amanda Dyer and her family. Amanda is president for a local chapter of the Ruffed Grouse Society and the American Woodcock Society. Her family exemplifies the rich hunting heritage of this region, and one could argue their outdoor traditions are as strong today as they were when her ancestors arrived in Maine during the 1700s.
Welcome to Maine.
Thank you, appreciate it. This is my first time and I'm loving it so far. This place is great.
That's awesome. I might be partial, it's pretty great.
So tell me a little bit about growing up in this area of the state.
I've never lived anywhere else, so I can't really compare it to anywhere else, but it's been amazing. We've got the coast, we've got the mountains, we've got lakes, and growing up here with my family, I've got to experience all of it, so it's pretty good.
What do you love most about Maine?
Oh, the water. I love the ocean. I could never move away from the coast. I may not get there all the time, but I like the fact that I can just drive down and I'm there. That smell, just you can't beat that ocean smell.
I can see why Amanda loves her life here on the coast. There's something comforting about the history that surrounds you in a place like this. How about hunting for you today? Like, what does that look like as an adult now? Since you started when you were a kid with Grandma, you still hunt with her?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. We started hunting again together. So this year's been a little bit different for me in the sense that my ex-husband and I used to hunt a lot together, and so with us not being together anymore, I kind of had to relook at what hunting looked like. I've taken my kids with me too. We went for a week at another area up in the northern Maine woods. So some friends and getting out and meeting new people and hunting with some different people has been kind of cool.
So your grandmother and your grandfather were very active in Ruffed Grouse Society, is that correct?
Yes, yep. So the chapter started here in Maine, and just with their involvement so much, it was voted to change the chapter's name to the Russ and Carol Dyer chapter because of how involved they had been. My Gram's still very much active in it, but has passed the torch to me to be the committee chair for the chapter, so.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So what is it about Maine that you love relative to the outdoors that's unique to anywhere else?
Maine's pretty unique because you've got the coast and the water and everything, and then you've got up north the northern Maine woods and the grouse hunting and everything. It just ties so well together. You can do both and get to enjoy the state.
The docks of Portland have been a home to major shipbuilders and lobstermen for centuries. Today, the lobstering industry is still primarily run by small family businesses. Though he's been retired from lobstering for many years, Amanda's father, Dennis, still maintains his boat, one that he built by hand from wood harvested in the North Maine woods. Hunting, big part of the Dyer family. Lobstering. What got you into lobstering or interested in it?
Well, I was always out on the water. My dad had boats when I was growing up, and we'd go out mackerel fishing. He had a sailboat for a while. And when I moved to Freeport in high school, because we lived all around the state when Dad was a warden, they had a class that was called Marine Occupations, and I went to that and built a small skiff and built some traps and decided I'd give it a go.
Hard work?
Hard work, but it's more the financial end. Doesn't matter how many hours you put in, it's what you catch is
Yeah.
what your income is.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was no guarantees.
So Dennis, what is it about hunting that is important to you?
I think the most important thing is to go out and have fun, not worry about how many birds you get or how big of a deer you shoot. It's just to have fun, and my enjoyment now is was taking my kids out, and now my grandkids, and seeing them enjoy it and getting out in the outdoors.
It's got to be rewarding to see your kids out doing things that you love and is important to you, something that's important to you and your parents.
Yes, it is, and it's a lot of fun to be able to go with them,
Yeah.
and enjoy it together.
So we're gonna go up to Fry Mountain tomorrow, up in this area here. There's some good cover and stuff, so I think that would be a good spot if we can't
very
make it all the
good.
way up north.
Now that's a wildlife management area, right?
Yes, yep, yeah.
Okay, a big one.
Yeah, it's a pretty big piece over there.
So where we do a lot of our hunting further north is on actually private land with the timber companies, and it's managed by the North Woods Corporation.
So when you get access to that, how does it work for hunting? Do you have to ask for permission or pay or what?
So in the North Maine woods, you have to pay when you go through a gate to use the roads. You're paying mostly for the use of the roads, or there's fees for camping and so on. And they do have leases up there, so some people do have camps, but it pretty much entails everything west of Route 1, this whole part of the state.
So this whole section up here really is that.
Is
And that's really
private land.
undeveloped, right? It's private land, but it's just forest, right?
just forest,
Just
yes.
forest, besides the couple camps like he had set up
Yeah.
there. It's so cool to just like be on these logging roads and you're like, oh, that's great cover, and you just pull over and you go hunt it. Like there's no, like you can't hunt here, you can't do that. You just find a spot and you're like, all right, that's where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
When you were showing me around the boat, I saw a little plaque inside with the name referenced of the boat. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
When I built the boat, I wanted to name it after my kids, but I didn't want to do the typical Will and Amanda or something like that, so I came up with Amanda's Will. Even though Amanda was small, she was pretty strong-willed, and my son's name was Will, so I thought it was pretty fitting.
That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really special. I appreciate it more now being older that my dad named a boat after my brother and I, and especially one that he built. I mean, this boat has more of a sentimental meaning now because my brother has passed. The boat still has a lot of special meaning to us.
Just north of Portland is Bradbury Mountain State Park, and this is where we'll meet up with Commissioner Judy Camuso. She leads the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife for all of Maine. Her department is responsible for the fish and wildlife resources in the state, and I want to ask her why Mainers have such a strong outdoor and hunting culture. This is gorgeous.
It is.
So what is it that a Mainer is most proud of, and why would somebody come here?
Oh, well, I mean, why somebody would come here, I think is because it's obvious. I mean, Maine's the most beautiful state in the country.
Second most.
No, first, absolutely. We have the coast, so all the coastal habitat. There's upland habitat, mountains. I think Maine ranks third in the country for outdoor participation. So, you know, if you yourself don't hunt or fish, you know somebody who does. And if you don't hunt or fish, most likely you hike, you bird watch, you garden, people in Maine are outside year round. People always think, oh, winter, it must be like indoor, but I think that's when most people are outside. So you can downhill ski, cross-country ski, snowshoe, ice fish. There's tons of opportunity in the winter, tons of opportunity in the spring. Summer is obviously, summer in Maine is like primo time to be here. And then fall for me is the best time because that's hunting season.
With the strong hunting culture that exists here in Maine, how does that connect to conservation of these wild places and really the health of the wildlife?
I think Mainers are really proud of their heritage. They're proud of their state. They're proud of the natural resources in the state. We have enormous outdoor culture here in Maine. People love being outside. They love connecting with fish and wildlife. I think of hunters as a volunteer group of people who help us to manage wildlife and keep them at healthy, sustainable, and socially acceptable levels. So without hunting, we would not be able to do that. So it's an amazing, important component to wildlife management here in the state.
Many people don't realize that hunters and anglers provide the lion's share of funding for much of the conservation work in our country. From revenue collected on the sale of licenses to taxes on hunting equipment purchases. Licenses and fees alone pay for 70% of the annual wildlife budget in Maine. Why is Maine such a great place to hunt ruffed grouse and woodcock?
Yeah, so we have 17 million acres of forested land in the state, and 4 million behind in the North Maine woods. That is all managed and provides opportunity. I mean, not all of it's always in habitat for ruffed grouse, but there's a lot of land out there for ruffed grouse to occupy.
So that's an interesting point, because when you say over 90% of the land in Maine is privately owned, someone may think that that means 90% is not huntable, but you're saying there's 17 million acres of forest. 4 million up north.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
amazing.
I think we're the most heavily forested state in the country, maybe outside of Alaska.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's beautiful.
So, tremendous opportunity for hunting here.
This next day's hunt will be on public land designated as a Wildlife Management Area, or WMA. In the case of WMAs, their primary management objective is for the protection and enhancement of wildlife habitat. There are 69 of these wildlife management areas across the state of Maine, and the size of Fry Mountain alone is 5,200 acres. Make sure you take time to learn about public and private lands near you. Organizations like Backcountry Hunters and Anglers are focused on public lands and ensuring hunters and all recreational users will continue to have access to these resources in the future. With over 17 million acres of forest in Maine, there must be a lot of wildlife. But that also gives that wildlife quite a bit of space to roam. Commissioner Camuso shared that her agency was doing a lot of habitat work in this WMA, so I'm hopeful that we'll see a bird or two. Hey, Amanda.
Hey, Mark. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. This is my grandmother, Carol.
Hi,
Hey,
Carol.
Mark.
Nice to
So
meet
good to
you.
meet you.
Absolutely. Oh, thanks for having me here in Maine.
It's absolutely our pleasure.
So this is a place where we're at. You've hunted before?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.
That's great to hear. So it sounds like they're doing a lot of conservation work up here. You've done a lot for conservation here in Maine, and that's wonderful.
Well, I think Ruffed Grouse Society probably was one of the best things I ever did. Just to become aware, because I didn't start really hunting until my late 40s.
Really?
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about Fry Mountain? What area, what's around here, and why does this make really good grouse hunting, do you think?
Well, I think for one thing, because it was originally farmland here, and so you have that of apple trees are scattered here and there, and the way they've managed it since that time when it was taken over.
So just changing the
Management,
habitat so that it's
yeah,
that mosaic?
just so that you have the different age groups, which are very important. And you know it works. If you've got grouse in there, then it's good for everything.
What do you love most about grouse hunting?
I think the combination of the dog, number one, being out in the woods, which I love, and it's just a heartfelt feeling.
Before leaving the vehicles, we took a compass reading to get a bearing. We also marked the vehicle location on our GPS so we had a return point, as these woods are thick and it would be easy to get turned around. We pushed the edges of some of the habitat management cuttings and then walked trails through areas of mixed cover. Carol was able to walk the trails while Amanda and I pushed through some of the thicker brush. A bird flushed at one point in thick cover and I took a shot but cleanly missed the bird. By midday, our game bags were still empty, so we decided it was time to take a break. Carol, I was just wondering if you could share, a little bit of your story again of hunting when you started to hunt. You said it was, you didn't do it till you were in your 40s,
I think I was 46 or 7.
46
when
or 7?
Yeah, when I started. I'm 83.
You're 83?
Yeah, and grateful to be there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where, when, and how did you get this lady into hunting? She said she was about 10 years old and you were a strong influence.
It was not hard to do with her. Number one, you have to get a puppy.
Spook.
Puppy helps. Puppy helps.
Yep.
It does. And she was an outdoor girl. And
What was it? Do you remember that interested you? When was it? Was it the dog?
It was the dog. I've
Yeah.
always been an animal person. I love animals. I
Yeah.
love dogs. And it was just a lot of fun to go up and play with a puppy. And playing with a puppy, and Graham's like, hey, do this. Hey, do that. And then all of a sudden I was training a dog.
So the local Ruffed Grouse Society chapter is named in honor of you and your husband Russ, who's passed. Did you and he hunt a lot together?
we did.
Yeah.
We did. We had the camp up north, and we would go up because he'd get a couple of weeks vacation, and we'd just stay at camp and hunt every day.
So you've got a lot of wisdom that would be wonderful to share with new hunters, somebody trying to go grouse hunting for the first time. So when you talk about great cover for grouse, what makes really good cover for grouse in your opinion?
Well, as I'm sure you know, they're called the indicator bird because wherever they're present, it's good for most any other species because they have such a diverse need. We would go out, and I kept a log, a camp log, and if I put in there 21, 22 birds we saw today, it was an off day.
Really?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you're telling me you were eating a lot of grouse in camp?
Yes.
What's one of your favorite recipes for grouse?
You're going to have it for supper tomorrow night, so I'm not telling.
Okay. Secret. All right. I like secrets and surprises. So what keeps you going with hunting? That's, you started later in life, but that means you've been hunting still a lot of years.
Well, I fell in love with this bird, meaning the grouse. This bird is so wary and special. I have great admiration for them. Yeah, they outwit me every time. Yeah, but it's just something I love to do.
With daylight burning, we decided it was time to make one more push through a section of woods to the east of us. Carol said she needed to take a break and offered to stay at the Jeep with the other dog.
Pete, come around. So, I feel like there's going to be grouse over there. This is like where I always find them, on this edge of stuff over here.
Wonder if we go into this
If we go push this low stuff to the right, it looks a little better.
Oh, let's do it. Might as well use a little bit of daylight we got
Right.
left.
Thick, thick, thick down here.
It's where they are.
What?
I said they're usually down here and you
Exactly.
can't get shot
I
on
know.
Oh, there it is.
Flush it. Grouse or woodcock?
Okay. He's going to my right.
Is he heading up towards the sun?
I think it's over to my right over here. There has to be a bird there. I'm gonna go out here.
Yeah, if he could get into these pines. It's just some thick stuff in there.
In thick forests like this, it can sometimes be challenging to keep your hunting companions and dogs within sight at all times. It's imperative, though, that you have awareness of where everyone is at and only take shots you know are safe. Remember that all hunters need to be abreast of each other, walk at the same pace, and know where their safe zone of fire is throughout the hunt.
Should we push it straight west out through the thick of it out to the road? You want to go on one side, I'll go on the other?
Yep. Whoa, there's a woodcock.
It flushed?
Yep, I heard it.
Oh, shoot. You want to go, you go on that far side and then we'll just work straight that way?
Yep.
Oh, he's on full point. He is on full point. Locked
Go
up.
in, I'll cover this area.
We got it. Woodcock down.
Pete, fetch.
Get the bird, Pete. Get the bird.
Good boy.
Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Good job, Pete. So, it's our not our primary focus, ruffed grouse, but we'll take the woodcock, won't we?
Yeah.
Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah.
He was about 15 yards down. I was up there, and it was right downhill. And actually, Pete was just over here. I don't know if he flushed it or if I did, but
Yep.
came up right here and went down. So I think that this is nice habitat.
Yeah, it's definitely good habitat. What do you say we head over now to the left over here where we flush that grouse and see if we can find him?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
We pushed the edge of a young aspen stand and down into some thicker areas where we knew a grouse had flown. But unfortunately, we didn't flush any more birds. Before we knew it, the sun was setting and we needed to work our way back to Carol and the vehicles. You'll often find on a hunt that time just slips away. It's important that you start your day with a plan for how and when you're going to return to your vehicle. We were soon out of the woods, with the GPS telling us the vehicles were only a quarter mile to the north. We field dressed the Woodcock by light of our headlamps and then made our way back to town with the anticipation of a wild game meal that Carol promised to cook the next day.
Hi, Graham.
Hey, Mindy. How you doing?
Good. Good
Yeah.
to see you.
Need a job?
Always.
In 1978, Carol Dyer and her friend Judy Marsh compiled dozens of wild game recipes into a cookbook titled The Maine Way. Both women were married to Maine game wardens and saw a need for hunters to improve their skills in bringing wild game from the field to table. Tonight, she's preparing one of those recipes for us, grouse baked in cream, with one woodcock added. Wild game is a staple for the Dyer family, and preparation in the kitchen involves everyone. How does the meal fit in with your family? Is wild game a common meal that you have?
Yeah. Pretty much every meal, right?
And one of the things that I used to stress, if you hunt, don't bring the game home and throw it in front of somebody else and say, here, you take care of it and cook it. I'll eat it. Do the whole process. You know, become part of it. You're sharing a special thing.
I think it's kind of nice too when we sit down. Usually we all sit down at the table together and eat. There's the kind of storytelling of what happened when you got this, of what you were eating, and the different parts that were funny about it and everything, which is kind of nice because then you get to share the family's experience. Everybody in the family gets to experience what that person did that harvested it.
Before we eat, I'd like to propose a toast to a very successful hunt for Amanda and Mom and Mark. And by successful, it's not always in the number of birds bagged, but a great day with family and friends and enjoying the outdoors with the dogs, watching the dogs work, and to get to have this meal after.
4 generations were sitting around the table together, and it was a heartwarming reflection of the Dyer clan who have been Mainers since the 1700s. Throughout that time, they've maintained their connection to the land, the water, and each other, and I'm sure it will continue long into the future.